Good evening, live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman television. Here we present to you tonight's news bulletin. But first, the headlines. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq greets President of Uruguay on his country's Independence Day. The Minister of Health reports 5 deaths and 120 new COVID-19 cases in the Sultanate. And the G7 leaders are pressing Biden to extend Kabul evacuation deadline. Thank you for joining us. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq sends a cabal of greetings to His Excellency President Luis Lacalle Pou of Uruguay on his country's Independence Day. Shura Council Office discussed in its meeting today Council of Ministers' response to request of briefings presented by Shura Council regarding academic graduates who were not occupied by the labor market in addition to the strategic projects in road sector. The office also reviewed Council of Ministers' recommendations regarding State General Budget project for the fiscal year 2022 and projects of the 10th five-year plan. The Minister of Health announced 5 deaths and 120 new cases of COVID-19 in the Sultanate. It also registered 221 recovered cases. The Ministry also reported that the total number of COVID-19 cases registered in the Sultanate reached 301,570, while the total number of deaths reached was 4,043. The total recovered cases reached 290,631. The ministry indicated that the number of inpatients during the 24 hours is 21, bringing the total number of 169, of which 75 are in intensive care units around healthcare institutions in the country. Oman oil price October 2021 delivery reached $68.80 per barrel. According to Dubai Mercantile Exchange, Oman oil price recorded an increase by $2.70. The average price of Oman crude oil August 2021 delivery reached $71.66 per barrel, thus $5.26 higher than price of July 2021 delivery. Over 13,000 land transport vehicles operating cards were issued by the Minister of Transport, Communications and Information Technology during the first 6 months of 2021. The ministry issued through the National Platform for Land Transport Service NACL during the first half of this year 13,944 land transport vehicles operating cards and 139 exceptional cargo transport permits. The ministry also approved 413 licenses for land transport activities through the Invest Easy system. And now we direct move to the international news. Western troops at Kabul airport worked frantically today to evacuate people from Afghanistan before an August 31st deadline as U.S. President Joe Biden faced growing pressure to negotiate more time for the airlift of thousands trying to flee.
FDA has given its full and
President Joe Biden faced a pressing decision on whether to shut down the massive military airlifts in a week. As the Taliban are insisting, Biden has been considering whether to extend his self-imposed deadline for completing the airlift by August 31st, taking into account the continued security threats, the Taliban's resistance to an extension, and the prospect that not all Americans and at risk Afghan allies can be evacuated by next Tuesday. About 21,600 people were flown safely out of Taliban-held Afghanistan in the 24-hour period that ended early Tuesday. The White House said that compares with about 16,000 the previous day. Since August 14, the U.S. has evacuated and facilitated the evacuation of more than 58,000 people. Leaders of the group of 7 G7 countries, Britain, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan and the United States are due to meet virtually today to discuss the crisis. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is expected to push for a deadline extension. The G7 leaders could discuss taking a united stand on the question of whether to recognize a Taliban government or alternatively renew sanctions to pressure the Islamist militant movement to comply with pledges to respect women's rights and international relations. Israeli warplanes struck targets in Gaza overnight, drawing machine gun fire from Hamas in the heaviest cross-border fighting since an 11-day war in May. In the occupied West Bank, officials said a Palestinian teen was killed in a clash today with the Israeli military. Palestinian authorities said the 15-year-old boy died after being shot in the head during clashes with soldiers in the city of Nablus. The Israeli military said soldiers were carrying out an arrest raid in the Balata refugee camp, where they came under attack from nearby roofs. In the Gaza Strip overnight hit a Hamas weapons manufacturing site, a tunnel and an underground rocket launch site. The army said it struck an additional militant tunnel after Hamas fired machine guns across the border. The U.S. drug regulator granted full approval to the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine that had earned emergency use authorization in December, making it the first to secure such Food and Drug Administration validation as health authorities struggle to win over vaccine skeptics. The FDA approved the two-dose vaccines for use in people aged 16 and older. Public health officials hope the action will will convince more unvaccinated Americans that Pfizer shot is safe and effective. Vaccine hesitancies among some Americans has hindered the U.S. response to the COVID-19 pandemic. While millions of people have already safely received COVID-19 vaccines, we recognize that for some, the FDA approval of a vaccine may now instill additional confidence to get vaccinated, said Janet Woodlock, the FDA's acting commissioner. The FDA's approval is based on updated data from the company's clinical trial. Overall, in follow-ups to Pfizer's original late-stage study, approximately 12,000 recipients of the vaccine have been followed for at least 6 months. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq greets President of Uruguay on his country's Independence Day. Minister of Health reports 5 deaths and 120 new COVID-19 cases in the Sultanate. And G7 leaders are pressing Biden to extend Kabul evacuation deadline. And with that, we do conclude this news bulletin brought to you live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman television. Once again, thank you. Do stay safe and healthy. Follow all the precautionary measures. Remember, coronavirus is still here and it's going to be an issue for quite some time. So we need to stick to safe measures. Good night.